We have tried Taiwanese whiskeys, we have tried Japanese whiskeys, we have tasted Korean whiskeys, we have tasted Indian whiskeys, we have tasted Norwegian, Dutch, French, Spanish whiskeys, but Chinese whiskey. But how are you, dear friends, of Talking About Whiskey, your favorite whiskey channel? My name is Edward, and here we are again in what is probably going to be the weirdest, I think most, exotic or surreal video we've done on the channel, because we've tried Taiwanese whiskeys, we've tried Japanese whiskeys, we've tasted Korean whiskeys, we've tasted Indian whiskeys, we've tasted Norwegian, Dutch, French, Spanish whiskeys, I don't know, from many places. But Chinese whiskey, well, until now. With all due respect to the Chinese, to China, I didn't even know they made whiskey there. Could you imagine, right? But as much as producing whiskey or whiskey brands, well, I had no idea about any of them. And we have to thank our friends at Sumer who sent me this, which I am amazed by. Well, here it is. I don't know. I have no idea about any of this. Look, Goalong Single Malt Whiskey, a product of China, meaning it's a Chinese whiskey, 48% ABV. Small batch, Chinese, single malt, unfiltered whiskey, no coloring, bourbon and brandy cask, pot still, in Hunan, China. I have no idea. China is so big that it's like you're talking to me about Kuzikitan in Russia. I have no idea where the heck that is. And well, a Chinese whiskey, I don't know. It's something spectacular. Numbered bottle, Goalong whiskey, product of China, small batch, aged in ex-bourbon and ex-Chinese Moscato brandy casks. I understand that they have been, that is, the oak barrel that has had a Moscato brandy cask carefully blended by our master blender. It is a single malt, although it says blended by our master blender, limited to only 8,000 bottles, each with a special serial number. I don't know what it is. It makes me feel uneasy even to open it. I don't know. I have no idea what it's worth. I haven't found any price references anywhere. I know that the people at Sumer are going to bring it or start bringing it because they have imported it, indeed. And I had never seen a bottle of Chinese whiskey. Here, I'll show it to you. The bottle is very, very beautiful, isn't it? It's very well crafted. It's a bottle, let's say classic, but you can see that it's a high quality bottle. Beyond the conventional, very proudly, they provide us here with a whole series of details about their distillery, which belongs to a website called bbcspirits.com. It's a French importer that then reaches us through Sumer, but it is a 100% Chinese product, something truly surreal. It is a distillery that has existed since 2011, which I had no idea about, and at 48%. It's no small feat, it's not trivial. The packaging is truly extraordinary, of very high quality with its little handle here. And what more can I tell you? Well, it's a company in China that does a bit of everything. They have a series of this particular expression. Well, it makes me hesitant to open it, and honestly, I would keep it as a collectible, but what do I do with this? Should I open it? Come on, let's open it, damn it. Why are we here if not to open bottles? Come on, let's go. For me, it's totally a collector's item. Sometimes I open bottles that I should have kept, worth $50 more. But then again, what am I going to do with $50? It's a Chinese single malt. What the heck do you want me to say? I have no idea. Finished in ex-brandy barrels, 5-year-old brandy. Well, I don't know. Let's open it. I can't think of anything else to tell you. No colorants, unfiltered, cold, use and a real thing. And here I am very intrigued. I truly tell you, very strange, right? Strange, I have a very odd feeling because it's like I thought Chinese whiskey simply didn't exist. Well, there is whiskey everywhere. There are always more homemade or more professional distillers of some type of cereal, right? But Chinese whiskey, Chinese brand, and they've been around since 2011. The website is here, and it really has everything. It has liquors, the usual, right? It has whiskey, brandy, vodka, gin, and liquors. And it's interesting because you can also ask them to definitely produce their editions for you, like as OEM, meaning they can also be sources of liquors. It's interesting. And well, there they are in the province. Here it says liquor distillery in China, right? Is it a UK? Is it a group, right? It seems that it was bought by a British group in the year 2018. Here it has some steels, some standard postille. And it is located in the Industrial Business Park, of Liuyang. The city of Liuyang is the first and the first mass producer, that is the first distillery, let's say, in China of Chinese whiskey. Tremendously interesting. I haven't found this whiskey anymore. I haven't found this one anymore. This is mold. I think I shouldn't have opened it. I think I should have kept it, let's say, unopened to collect or something like that, but we shouldn't give it too much importance because otherwise we'll end up going crazy. The fact that it's 48% Goalong Single Malt is what stands out. They have several types. They have a blended malt. They have single malts. They also have blended whiskey, which I imagine is more economical. And then they have this single malt, which I understand is a bit of their flagship single malt. It's curious that they have this one no longer. They now have a good blended malt. The color is truly interesting. It's a Yusen color, completely transparent. Without any type of coloring, it recalls 5 years of aging and moves with quite a bit of density. It is a good whiskey with a certain lightness as well. It is not that dense. One layer of glycerin is reasonable, but it is true that it leaves the glass. It is a whiskey that should be preserved because it is extremely rare. Not every day does one open a Chinese whiskey. I believe this is the first bottle of Chinese whiskey to be opened in Spain, and we are opening it here on this channel as a bit of a premiere. Let's see what we find on the nose with this. I even have trouble pronouncing it. Goalong Single Malt Whiskey from China, 48%. Let's see, because one thing is ex-bourbon and brandy. The alcoholic integration is quite good. It is fairly sweet, somewhat spicy, somewhat hot. On the nose, interestingly, a lot of barley, quite a bit of cereal. Incredible that this came from China. Here we are opening it, talking about whiskey here in Madrid. And sometimes life takes you to the strangest places. Lots of wood, lots of grain. Regarding the brandy part, honestly, I don't notice much. I think it's more about a very good wood in the ex-bourbon part, in the oak part. Certainly there aren't many refills here, because it is indeed imparting the typical notes that ex-bourbon provides, but with little use, those slight coconut notes, a bit of vanilla, those sweet notes. A very fine, very delicate nose. It reminds me of a very, very good Scotch whiskey on the nose, like a Speyside, something like that. More than a thick one, maybe a Highlands, delicate, fine, smooth, with notes of white chocolate, latte, those kinds of sweet but soft notes. It's not a very intense sweetness. There's a bit of, let's say, red fruits, but not too acidic either, more like some not very strong blackberries. Very strong wood note, very strong cereal note, very good alcohol integration. Note that biscuit. It is a complex whiskey on the nose, meaning it is not a simple whiskey at all. And the alcohol integration is extraordinary. It is a very well integrated 48%. And when there is a theater, I mean, you can barely notice the alcohol. The nose of this whiskey is delicious. I mean, this nose passes for a whiskey. I don't know its price, but a whiskey with considerable aging and high quality. This whiskey is very well made. Without a doubt, the slightly lactic notes, even a certain acidity, hit me a bit like banana peel, orange peel. A tremendously complex nose. Surprising this whiskey, really. Chinese whiskey, man. Every day we come across something stranger and stranger. But well, that's how the market is. The market adapts. Companies try to innovate, and I understand that these Chinese brands, just like they try to penetrate with electric cars, they don't just try, they penetrate with electric cars. They also want to sell us their whiskey. It's normal. I think they have it tough because, you see, it's difficult. And the problem with China is that in general, it is associated, this is changing, but in general, it is associated with cheap copies. That's how it is. No matter how much we want to spin it. I'm very sorry if someone from China is watching me from behind, but that's how it is. A cheap, functional copy, similar to what is made in the West, but at a much lower price. It is worth it for me to buy this because I know it lasts me less time, but since it is so economical, I replace it, and I think that this one, at least in terms of aroma, is not the case. I'm telling you, I mean, the people from Wallen, what they've done well. Let's see in Boca, Campe. I think that's what they say. But look, I have to tell you, it is an extraordinary whiskey. 2000. One but extraordinary. In Boca, you can really perceive the influence of the brandy wood. A lot. It is tremendously sweet. A bit sharp, a bit spicy, I meant to say. The alcohol integration is a 10. It's something halfway between Pedro Jimenez and ex-bourbon. It is delicious on the nose, on the palate. This whiskey is absolutely delicious. Surprising. Very rich whiskey, sweet whiskey. If you like sweet whiskeys, as I do, this is a whiskey that will not disappoint you. It's a bit spicy too, a little hot. Let's add some notes of water because I have the impression that it will suit it quite well and it will open up a bit more. But it's surprising. Surprising. Very well made, this whiskey. It catches my attention that at 2001, part of the bottle is screen printed. No, not the whole bottle is screen printed. No, the sticker is from the importer. Honestly, what do you want me to say? Surprisingly good whiskey. Because, of course, I say surprisingly with all due respect. Because since I've never tried a Chinese whiskey, I have no idea. I mean, just as I tell you that I generally don't like Irish whiskey at all, of course, I have no criteria for Chinese whiskey. I can't say anything good or bad about it. Therefore, surprisingly very good, because you expect that someone who doesn't have much experience making whiskey wouldn't make good whiskey. This is normal. What you expect is that someone does something very well when they have been doing it for many years and already have a lot of experience in it. But if not, well, it's strange, isn't it? Well, it becomes a little more oxygenated, a bit fresher with water on the nose. Let's say it remains very interesting and very complex, but it balances out a bit. It flattens out a little. Let's see, on the palate, it's a great whiskey with a rich and complex flavor profile and a remarkably smooth finish, nothing more. That is to say, many Scottish whiskies would wish to make a whiskey like this, with 5 years of aging. My congratulations to the people at Goalong because they make a very spicy, sweet whiskey with wood notes, but very well balanced. An extraordinary woodwork, an extraordinary distillation and woodwork without a doubt. I don't understand. I don't even know how they age it without cold such heat. I have no clue. But an amazing whiskey. Amazing whiskey. It's an amazing distilled spirit. Great aging. Surprising. Very happy. They deserve congratulations. Of course, if you can buy the bottle at a reasonable price, it's just that I have no idea what this is worth. I've tried searching and found absolutely nothing. To me, it seems like a great whiskey that is worth buying at least once. And if you are a collector, I would buy the bottle now because with 6,000 numbered bottles in all, it is very likely that this bottle will appreciate in value over time. A single malt from China. Well, I think it's quite exotic and quite rare. So from here, once again, many thanks to our friends at Izumer for sending us this very interesting, very delicious Chinese whiskey. I think we are the first channel, right? I think this is the first channel to taste a Chinese whiskey. I don't know of any other channel that has tasted Chinese whiskey. But well, there it is. We'll leave it at that, right? Thank you for your time. Thank you for making it this far. Hey, since you're here, give it a like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next video on the channel, if you want, of course. Always drink in moderation and be very happy, because as I always say, if we are not reasonably happy, then everything else, honestly, doesn't make much sense. Hugs, take care, see you soon, bye.